Hello everyone. I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate the support. In this one, I wanted to speak to you about a random thing, a random love of mine, a random obsession actually, I should say, of mine that I actually never ever shared with anyone. It's kind of odd actually when I think about it. I share a lot of random obsessions with people, but this particular one has actually stuck with me since I was a child. And I just kind of realized I was journaling a few days ago and I was kind of, thinking about something, and I started doodling on the side of the paper like I always do. I've been doing this since I was, 9, 10 years old, maybe even earlier. And I started doodling a flower on the side of the paper, so on the side of the sheet. And I'm doodling this flower as I always do. I kind of doodle the same flower, the same kind of flower every single time. Give me a second. I hate yelling over the plane, so I always kind of take a little break. So I always kind of doodle the same kind of flower every single time. It's kind of funny actually, as I said, I didn't realize this fact until I kind of noticed it in the journaling last week or whenever it was. And so I doodled the flower as I always do, and I started realizing, oh my god, I think I'm actually obsessed with flowers. And I started thinking about it a little bit, and my sister actually messages me all the time because I'm always sending her pictures of flowers. I'll walk around my neighborhood, and luckily enough, in Thailand, in Toronto, wherever I go actually, it's kind of interesting. Flowers are always around me. So many beautiful, diverse kinds of flowers. And so in Thailand as well, we have these beautiful scented flowers. Frangipani, I think, is the name of the tree or the plant. Tree, I think. And these flowers are everywhere in Thailand, so I'm always picking them up and smelling them, and I'm just so grateful that they're there. And over here, obviously, people do a lot of gardening. I'm in the suburbs, so there's a lot of backyards obviously filled with flowers, but a lot of front yards as well, like beautiful, gorgeous flowers everywhere. And so whenever I do go for a walk around the neighborhood, which I do quite often, I will just kind of be taking pictures of flowers all the time, looking at flowers, daisies, just beautiful daisies, beautiful black-eyed Susans, roses, so many different kinds of roses. I mean, just so many different kinds of flowers. I don't even know the names of most of them, right? And mom obviously has a lot of beautiful flowers as well. And so I'm very lucky, as I said, to have all these beautiful flowers around me. I'll just go around, I'll take pictures of it, and I'm always sending these pictures to my sister. And so, she kind of commented a couple of weeks ago as well, you're kind of obsessed with flowers. What are you going to do when you're going to be in a situation where there are no flowers around you, right? And it's kind of funny because I started thinking about it, and give me a second. And I started thinking about it, and I realized that I've actually, as I said, not been in a situation where I haven't been surrounded by flowers in a long, long time. At least 4 or 5 years, for sure. And so I was kind of thinking about how this obsession of flowers in general actually has kind of followed me since I was a child. Not only because of the fact that I loved doodling them. And so in fact, even if I didn't have real flowers around me, I'd always have these flowers that I'd be painting and doodling in my notebooks or in my iPad or wherever I get a chance. If I have a few moments just to sit still, I'll just be doodling flowers on the side. Like I'll just be doodling flowers. I have sometimes in the planes, I've just made a huge caricature of a flower or a huge comic of a flower, or I'll be sitting there and I'll have a huge sheet of paper and I'll just be like penciling in flowers over and over and over again. I remember this one train ride I was in. It was like a 12-hour train ride in India, and I had this sheet of paper and I had some color pencils, tiny ones, and I just literally sat there and just painted flowers the entire time. I was making this huge sunflower. And I remember at the end, all the people in the compartment with me, they were just like, are you a painter? Are you an artist? And I'm like, no, I just love flowers. It was not a beautiful flower, but it was just, for me, it was the most beautiful flower that I'd ever painted. I don't think I even have that. I don't think I have that sheet anymore. That was a long time ago. But I wanted to share this with you because I've kind of been reading up on flowers, obviously, because as soon as I realized I have an obsession, I started reading up consciously about it. Normally I'm just doing it unconscious. I'm like, oh, I like this, let me read a little bit more about this kind of stuff. And then suddenly I'll realize that I'm consciously aware that, yeah, this is actually one of my obsessions. I love this. I want to read more about it. I want to learn more about it. the same thing kind of happened with trees as well. I think I did a video about that as well. That of course trees are my obsession, but I used to have this unconscious obsession with trees. So I'd look at them and I'd think, oh my God, how pretty are you? You're so beautiful. I love you. And I'd talk to them and things like that, but I never actually did it consciously. And then I realized, oh right, I love trees. And so I started reading about them, and that's the reason I kind of recommended that book to you, The Hidden Life of Trees. A brilliant book if you like trees. I do recommend you read it. Random, but it's a beautiful, amazing book. And again, as I said, so once I realized consciously, I'm like, all right, I want to read more about it. And so I started reading about flowers. And there's this beautiful quote by Eckhart Tolle, and I'm not going to say the whole thing, it's a long quote. I'm going to hopefully remember to put it into the description. If I don't, remind me. And it's a quote in the book A New Earth, by Eckhart Tolle. And he talks about flowers and how flowers are a sign of enlightenment, actually, or they are a portal into enlightenment. And I really love the way he kind of phrases it, so I will hopefully put it into the description so you can read it. But what I really liked about it was that, he said something like, for the longest time, from the beginning of time at least, there were no flowers. Like they kind of came not in the beginning where, first like trees started growing and plants started growing. Flowers weren't one of the first things that started popping up. They actually came a little bit into the consciousness of Earth. So basically the Earth was born, and then, the little one-celled species, the protozoa, came into the oceans or the waters then, and then little by little they started having a little bit more evolution, and we started getting trees and plants and things like that. Obviously little by little it started happening, but for the longest time, millions and millions of years in the beginning, there were no flowers. Flowers actually came a little bit later in time. But one of the things that they say about flowers, or he says about flowers, is that when you look at a flower, you're basically looking at the face of God, kind of. And that's how I took it. Okay, now I'm not paraphrasing, I'm just saying what I'm thinking in my head from what I interpreted. And I really believe that's true, because flowers, I think, are just the most beautiful things in the world. They don't actually ask for anything. They're just gorgeous. They just sit there. Yeah, of course, bees come in and pollinate them and things like that, but they're just absolutely beautiful. And if you read any of the quotes about flowers, you know that they just kind of give their beauty, and they give their essence, and they give their fragrance to everyone who's around without asking anything in return. You could be standing there and smelling a flower, and it's beautiful, beautiful fragrance. The frangipani, as I said, in Thailand, hundreds of flowers fall from the tree all the time, and they're all on the ground, or on plants, on fences, or on the grass, or on cars. I've seen cars covered with it. So beautiful. And they smell just amazing, just divine. And you're standing there and you're smelling them, and hundreds of people pass by and smell the flowers. The flowers don't get anything in return for it. They just kind of put their essence out, they put their fragrance out, and people are smelling it. Animals are getting things out of it, bees are getting stuff out of it, but they never ask for anything in return, right? Also, I read this quote, and I don't remember, it was Haiz Ali or something. Anyways, if I remember, I'll put the quote in. But it's something like how even if you have a flower and you crush it in your hand, it doesn't actually say, okay, I'm not going to perfume your hand because you crushed me. Even if you crush a flower in your hand, it'll still perfume the hand that crushes it. And that's just the most beautiful essence of it. I think it's the most violent, ahimsa style of living in the world. You crush me and you kill me and you destroy me. You pluck me from my house and you put me on the ground and you smash me down. But even then, I'm going to keep on sending you my fragrance. I'm going to keep on sending you my beauty. I'm going to keep on sending you my essence. And I'm not going to say, oh, you crushed me, I'm not going to give you my fragrance anymore. Or you took me from my spa, you plucked me out and you threw me on the ground, I'm not going to give you my fragrance anymore. No, the flower never does that. It never says that. And so for me, I think flowers are obviously very enlightened, but also they are the enlightened part of plants. Not that plants aren't, but I think they're the more enlightened part of it. But also it also is a portal, as I said, into enlightenment. And they say that if you can just contemplate a flower for a period of time, hours on end, you can achieve enlightenment just by contemplating a flower. Look at a flower, look at the beauty of it, look at the essence of it, go deeper within it, and that's your portal into enlightenment. Now, I'm not looking at flowers, and I don't think, to get enlightened. I don't think that's my goal. But I do love the beauty of them, and just the non-violent beauty. It's just they give and they don't ask anything in return. Just unconditional love, right? There's so many reasons I love them, obviously, but that's actually this video, I would say, kind of essentializes why I love them so much. And I'm sure as time goes on and I discover more flowers and I discover more things about them, I'm going to keep on loving them more and more and more. But I wanted to share with you guys this random obsession that I have, because I'm sure a lot of you are sitting in the same boat thinking, wow, flowers are amazing. I love them. They're beautiful. I want to know more about them. I want to have more of them in my life and things like that. If you are in the same boat and if you are obsessed with flowers, do message me or comment below, and we can have an exchange over that. And if you don't care about flowers, that's okay. You can just skip this video and go on to the next one. Again, I'm so grateful that you guys are listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support, and I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.